Hi everyone, how's it going? Today I'm going to be taking us through a new problem from the Leetcode website. This is another easy problem. This problem is called number of steps to reduce a number to zero. Here, I can write that right here. I'll do full caps. Of steps to reduce a number to zero. Okay, so given a non-negative integer num, return the number of steps to reduce it to zero. If the current number is even, you have to divide it by 2, otherwise you have to subtract 1 from it. So looking at the first example here, input a num of 14, you're going to expect an output of 6, and that 6 is going to be that it's 6 steps labeled right here to take that number down to 0. So 14 is even. We're going to divide it by 2 first, and then that obtains 7. 7 is odd, so we're going to subtract that by 1, obtain 6. 6 is even. We're going to divide by 2 and obtain 3. 3 is odd, subtract 1, obtain 2. 2 is even, divide by 2 and obtain 1. 1 is odd, subtract by 1, obtain 0. Okay, example 2. The input is 8. It's going to be 4 steps to take that down. And we can see that right here. If it starts as even, so we start by dividing it by 2. 4 is even, so we divide it by 2 again. 2 is even, divided by 2, obtain 1, and 1 is odd, so we subtract that 1 and obtain 0. Okay, so I'm thinking to solve this, we're going to have to do some kind of loop to iterate through this number. Right here I've got my public study void main argument right now. That's how we run this at the end, and then also my number of steps method here. Now this method is going to return an int, and it takes an int parameter right here called num. So inside this method, that's how we're going to reference this number that it's going to be given. Okay, so first, looking up here, we need basically to count the number of steps that it takes to divide these numbers, or to divide these numbers by 2 or subtract 1 until it gets down to 0. So in order to do that, we need a number of steps counter. So we can go this by calling an int number of steps counter, and we'll start that at 0. Just take 0 steps at the beginning. And I'm thinking we need some kind of loop to iterate through this number that we have here. So to iterate through this number, we're going to use a while loop. And while the number, or the num, is greater than 0, so while num is greater than 0, we're going to do things to this num, basically. If the num is even, we're going to divide it by 2. If the num is odd, we're going to subtract 1 from it until the num is 0. And in each of those steps, either dividing by 2 or subtracting 1, we need to update our counter by 1. So if num is greater than, or mod 2 equals 0, that means that if you divide it by 2, there is no remainder, which is what the modulus is about. The modulus gives you the remainder. So num mod 2 equals 0, so there's no remainder. Then we're going to do num equal, we're going to assign it the value of num divided by 2. So just up here, looking at that, since 8 is even, so right down here, if num mod 2 is going to equal 0, then we'll take that 8 and we'll divide that 8 by 2, and then we'll put that 4 back into the num. And then we'll do counter, or number of steps counter, plus plus. We're going to put 1 into that, basically. Plus plus is the same as doing plus 1. Number of counter equal, same way as doing that. So either way you want to do that. And then down here, we can do if num mod 2 does not equal 0, then we do num equals num minus 1. So then we're going to just take 1 from it as an example right here in step 4. Since 1 is odd, modulus 2 is not equal to 0, it's going to equal 1. We're going to subtract 1 from num, and then whatever that is going to equal. In that case, it would equal 0. And then here we're going to do also a number of steps counter. So just like I did it up here, you could do it either that way, or you can just do it plus plus, which is the kind of shorthand notation in Java. Okay, so we have our two if statements, and basically the final thing that this method is asking for is a return statement. So we're going to give it a return statement right here after this while loop. We're going to return the number of steps counter, because that's basically all we need to know is each step. How many steps happen to get that number to 0. Okay, we can test this argument by running it here in this main. And so we'll first come up with a test data num. We'll set that to, what's the data source? We'll set that to 23. And we can create a few of these. We can create one, create test data num 1, or sorry, 2, 1, and we'll make this one 232, and give it like a negative number, see if that breaks it all. Num3 equals -1. Okay, and then let's we'll have to make this actually public static. Make it static, that way we can call it without having to create an instance of this class up here to run the method number of steps. We can just call the method. So we'll call the method, and we'll do an int solution. Int number of steps will equal or will be assigned number of steps test data 1, and then we'll system out print by doing sout, which is one of my favorite things in IntelliJ, but this is the full shorthand if you want that, or full notation. System out print line, and then we'll print number of steps solution. And let's run that. Oh, sorry, forgot my semicolon there. Always happens to me. Okay, so it will take 8 steps to get to 23. Let's we can double check that here. So first step is 23 minus 1 equals 22. We're going to divide 22 by 2, which equals 11. 11 minus 1 equals 10. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. And 5 minus 1 equals 4. Divided by 2 equals 2. Divided by 2 equals 0. Or equals 1, sorry. And then minus 1 equals 0. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 steps, and 8 was the answer that we got out there, so that's correct. We can also test, let's test number 3 there. Number 2 is quite large, maybe we can test with a smaller number. Let's run that. So 0 once we put in -1, so that's very good. Shows it won't take bad data in case we give it something like that. We can test how long it takes number 232, and someone can double check me in the comments there and post it if this is wrong, but I believe it is working correctly since it was working for these other two. 11. Okay, so that is my solution for this. I'll show it again right here. basically creating a counter and then running through the num and dividing it by 2 if it's divisible by 2, or minusing it by 1 if it's not divisible by 2. And then just counting up that counter in either stage. Okay, thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys all coming today. Please like in the comments and subscribe if you like what you enjoy. I'm going to try and post more videos in the future. Thank you.